Well, then I guess we can get started. I feel free to interrupt if you've got questions that are pertinent to when they come up. I've tried to cover basically a general overview of all of the products and give a little bit of background because all of these products came into existence based upon a need and from my clinical applications within my treatment facility, because either somebody had a problem that we couldn't figure out at the time and there was no product to fix it, or ultimately there were some unique findings that we had and we applied them to different formulas, so on and so forth. So I'm going to give you a general overview of everything. And again, if you've got questions, please do not hesitate to interrupt and ask. So I'm just going to get started, and the general idea of what we do now is based upon some things that I learned actually when I first got started back in 2002. So I traveled to Australia and England training in not only trichology but also in laser, and 2002 is in the infancy of laser for hair growth, and ultimately we had a very unique take on exactly how to use laser, because a lot of people were just using low-level laser therapy alone to get results. And even back then, we were using a multi-therapeutic approach, which I developed after being in Perth, Australia, as well as doing my initial trichology training in England. And when I put together that program, we actually really had a tremendous amount of success right out of the gate, and we ended up on all sorts of television shows. And it worked out well, but it also showed off some of the results that we were getting, which was far superior to anybody else who was doing laser at the time. And realistically, the reason that advanced trichology products exist today, and why, quite frankly, I think they're better than pretty much everything else out there, at least in the US, is that each individual product has a specific purpose, and that purpose ultimately will give your clients a measurable result, and that is the bottom line. We don't want people taking things that they don't need. They need to be using and taking things that are going to deliver results. So anecdotally, I also have a little video that I wanted to have you guys watch from 2004. If you've seen me now in this video, I am a baby, so I apologize for my appearance because I look like I just got out of high school. But you should watch the video, take it in, and then we'll spend 3 minutes doing that, and then we'll move on to the products themselves.
Fox 10 News at 9 with Linda Williams and Rob Piercy.
What would you do if you suddenly started losing your hair?
It's a dilemma many Americans face, including a Valley musician who was just days away from taking a razor blade and some shaving cream to his scalp. But then a light went on above his head, literally, and it saved his hair. On stage with his rock and roll bandmates, drummer Eric Bongiorno is the one with the shortest haircut, the one who feels lucky he has any to cut it all.
I was either going to have to shave my head and maintain it like that, or try some hair transplant or something.
In his mid-30s and growing increasingly bald, Eric had tried just about everything, and none of it worked.
This was in June of 2004.
Then he heard about Gaunitz Hair Growth Centers. Company founder and president, Bill Gaunitz.
You have been shiny bald for a very long period of time. It's probably not going to work for you.
7 years ago, Gaunitz himself was going bald. He tried every hair loss product on the market.
Some of which had cloned sperm cells in them. I mean, I didn't care. I was going to try anything.
Fed up, he spent the next few years studying hair loss and came up with a treatment system that helped Eric regrow his hair.
On average, they'll get about 7 years worth of hair back.
The treatment goes like this. A couple times a week, Eric gets a lemon juice and olive oil lotion rubbed into his scalp.
Okay, thank you.
Then he sits under a helmet that circles his scalp with laser light for about 30 minutes.
We're transferring light energy into cellular energy, and that cellular energy is stimulating what basically is a scalp that's atrophying.
After the laser, Eric's scalp is rinsed and then massaged with several different shampoos and conditioners. He's also taking a host of herbal supplements. The goal in all this is to rid the scalp of dihydrotestosterone and other toxins that cause hair to fall out.
Heal the scalp, grow as much hair as possible, and if they do what we say, they can keep it for as long as they want.
The results for Eric have been astounding. That picture on the left was taken just 9 months ago.
I'm pretty happy with it.
And he's reminded how pleased he is every time he tells people he used to be bald.
Like, oh, really? I had no idea. I said, yeah, I was bald just about 9 months ago.
A 9-month transformation to a much younger-looking version of himself. Money well spent?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Eric's treatment is almost wrapped up. While he'll only need to stop by the clinic a couple times a year, he will have to use the special cleansers and take the supplements year-round. A daily regimen this rocker can live with. Gaunitz Hair Growth is just months away from releasing a do-it-yourself laser.
So I wanted to go into that so that we can kind of show off some of the results that we've been getting for years. And all of those products that we use in the Advanced Trichology product line today started back then and evolved over time, getting even more and more effective as time has gone on. And in doing so, we've expanded the line, added some different things, but still the core of it started back then. So I wanted to give you a little bit of history on where it's come from and why we use it. So this is the 5-part protocol that is normally used in any of the typical treatment programs that I use in my clinics. However, you can use the individual products for individual clients based upon individual needs, and we're going to go into each set of these products so that you can understand a little bit more about why you'd use them and how to use them. So realistically, the overview would be that in pretty much every case we want to detoxify. Simply cleansing the liver and the kidneys is going to make everything work a little bit more efficiently. You always need the right nutritional supplementation to get the right nutrients into the bloodstream. And additionally, obviously, topical applications, some cases with 5% minoxidil, are going to improve capillary dilation. They're going to improve hair growth. Obviously, the right hair care products and laser. So we'll go into each individual item now. So on the right-hand side, we've got the 5 steps, and then I'm going to break down some of the results. But ultimately, when we're detoxifying, we ultimately need to know why are we detoxifying and who is a good candidate, because not everybody needs to detoxify to get results. So typically, the liver and the kidneys are going to play a role in not only inflammation in the body, but also with how your liver processes hormones. So if you are burdening your liver with all sorts of different things like prescription drugs and alcohol, you're simply not eating correctly, then you're going to end up with a liver that is not processing hormones as efficiently as it should, and it will basically metabolize every androgenic hormone in your body regularly. So in doing so, we want that liver to be as healthy as possible. So if someone is running into issues with digestion, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, if they are, again, consuming a lot of things that is potentially going to be harmful for them, or even if they've been on medications for long periods of time like minoxidil or Propecia, by detoxifying and basically relieving some of that stress on the liver, minoxidil and Propecia will actually work more effectively because you've now eliminated some of that half-life or the resistance in the liver. So that is one of the reasons why we detoxify. I actually brought it into the clinic in 2006 after I noticed that there was a certain type of individual that was not responding to the normal procedure that we were doing, and they had all of these symptoms that went along with it. So the detoxification kit, we actually use RT as well as an outside product called Sunny No. 7. I haven't found any other product that's any better than Sunny No. 7, so I don't want to reinvent the wheel, so we simply use Sunny No. 7 in conjunction with the kit. So if you choose to detoxify people, we can provide you with the actual tea, which typically the average individual is going to detoxify by drinking 3 cups of tea on a daily basis. And they are also going to use 2 tablespoons of the Sunny 7 bentonite clay twice a day. The objective is to clean the liver and the kidneys as effectively as you can through nutritional detox, and realistically you are going to hopefully improve not only the liver function but also improve the absorption of things that you're putting into the body, as well as improve hormonal conversion, which is going to decrease dihydrotestosterone. In some cases could, for women, increase estrogen and progesterone, which is going to be helpful to counteract testosterone binding as DHT in female pattern loss. And a lot of these different alopecias, cicatricial alopecias like CCCA or even traction, that there are nutritional components or autoimmune components. The cleaning the liver and detoxifying is going to be very helpful in decreasing any abnormalities in the immune state. So it is a benefit to a lot of different types of hair loss, and realistically, if in doubt, detoxify, because realistically there's no downside. I do, however, stress that when you are using the tea, which is very, very powerful, that you are also going to have your client use the bentonite clay as well, because that is going to buffer any detoxification symptoms that occur. When you are detoxifying with burdock root, dandelion root, licorice root, you are going to purge a lot of toxins from the liver and the kidneys, which could end up back in the small intestine, be reabsorbed. And if that reabsorption occurs, then you are going to end up with a client who is having all sorts of detoxification symptoms like nausea or headaches, and that's not something that most people want. You can buffer that by using the bentonite clay, because the action of the bentonite clay is to nutritionally absorb and basically nutritionally chelate the gut, so that when you have these positively charged particles that are being released, the negative charge of the bentonite clay is going to absorb that. It's going to basically encapsulate it, and it's going to carry it out through the stool without being reabsorbed. So that's why this kit exists. It lasts 1 month. Each bag of tea represents 2 weeks of a full detox. And basically, so each bag of tea is going to get 3 cups per day for 2 weeks. And when the tea is done and when the bentonite clay is done, the client is done detoxifying. And that is recommended typically to be done really once a year, but if someone's very healthy, you can push it out every 2 years or so. Any questions regarding detox? All right. So next step, which is step number 2, nutritional supplementation. This is one of our really unique attributes to our system as well, is that there are 3 different supplements for 3 different reasons, and each one has a purpose. So you're not necessarily going to use all 3 for every situation, but there are a lot of other companies out there that use vitamins in their treatment protocol, but they give you a one-size-fits-all vitamin. And I don't think you can be all things to everybody, so I wanted to make sure that we were providing the best vitamin in each category. So what that means is when we're in our nutritional supplement protocol, there are 3 main vitamins that we're utilizing. We're utilizing a DHT blocker, which obviously is to decrease dihydrotestosterone, specifically for people with hormonally related loss. Additionally, we have an essential fatty acid, which is to decrease inflammation, and then a follow growth vitamin, which is our version of a hair, skin, and nails vitamin, but it is far superior than the average hair, skin, and nails vitamin. So I'll go into each specifically so you have an understanding of why they're used and when we use them. So our DHT blocker is a 120 count DHT blocker. So that is a lot of vitamins in one bottle. We are using typically the largest ingredients in there are saw palmetto, and green tea extract. There's also stinging nettle, pygeum, and one of the unique things to this vitamin that no other vitamin in this category has is the combination of a probiotic, a prebiotic, and a natural antifungal, which is grapefruit seed extract. So a lot of times there are going to be issues digesting saw palmetto. So the actual use of probiotics have a function in helping you break down and digest saw palmetto so it works more efficiently. Additionally, probiotics work better when you're adding prebiotics, and prebiotics are simply laying down a foundation in your gut for the good bacteria to consume additional fibrous material, which is in the form of chicory root. And also the... Oh, I'm sorry?
Well, this is on the side. I have a question.
Sure.
Regarding the saw palmetto. I've heard that saw palmetto sometimes should not be taken for women who have had estrogen-fed cancers. But then I heard you mention about the probiotic and the prebiotic to help with the digestion of it. And so is that a difference in where there's not excess hormones in the bloodstream that would have an effect on the estrogen-fed cancer, or is that not related at all?
Great question. The probiotics and prebiotics actually probably have no influence on the phytoestrogen quality of saw palmetto. So there are a handful of items that fall into that phytoestrogen category. Saw palmetto is sort of a questionable one. But then you've got things like black cohosh and red clover, and then additionally, even green tea extract has some phytoestrogen quality, and things like soy. So I am very well versed in the estrogen-based cancer scare because my wife actually has a propensity to those cancers, and I've spoke with some of the top oncologists in the country working with her case and actually asking specifically about these different herbs. And the vast majority of them say these herbs are going to have no influence because they're not concerned about things like black cohosh and phytoestrogens. They're concerned with things like pharmaceutical estradiol and certain ones like not estriol, but estrone. So cumulatively, yes, if someone is on tamoxifen or trying to avoid estrogens entirely, then you might want to have them consult with their physician. I've never had a scenario where saw palmetto came up with the phytoestrogen concern, but I can see where someone might think that there is a phytoestrogen component to it. So, you know,
thank you for clarifying that.
Absolutely. And you know, those are things where I have another vitamin which is in transdermal form, which is called the Revive Hormone Balancing Cream, which is based around the principle of using phytoestrogens to control the impact of DHT on the hair follicle receptor. So that is something that absolutely, and I've even put that on the label, that should be consulted with their physician if they have a history of estrogen-based cancers or if they are on tamoxifen or some of those anti-estrogens. So, and actually one of the ones that the phytoestrogens that I didn't mention was evening primrose oil. So that's another powerful one that's used, that's actually in another product which I'll talk about now right after the DHT blocker. But I typically put every male that I work with who's dealing with any type of male pattern loss on obviously the DHT blocker. In cases of a female under the age of 35 who seems to be dealing with some type of hormonally related loss, either from PCOS or from birth control, I will put them on the DHT blocker. And with the probiotics and the prebiotics, you'll notice that some people will complain, obviously, of bloating. If they have digestive discomfort, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, I will usually defer to the DHT blocker as well, because I want them not only to break down any yeast, which seems to be more present than most will think in the form of, in some cases, candida, that the grapefruit seed extract does a wonderful job of impairing the spread of candida. And then obviously with the probiotics and prebiotics, it's going to replace some of that harmful yeast with healthy bacteria and then improve nutritional absorption in the gut. So those are the cases that I typically will use the DHT blocker. So again, always in male pattern loss, with women under the age of 35, with female pattern loss, and also with digestive issues. So the second vitamin is the essential fatty acid. Now, our essential fatty acid is unique because it is a 4-in-1 multi-source essential fatty acid. The reason that I've done this is that not all essential fats obviously have the same types of omegas in them. And then more specifically, I was concerned about individuals who are getting the right amount of healthy fats from the right source. I firmly believe in the Eat Right for Your Blood Type diet when it comes to reducing inflammation, especially in your hair, and I wanted a balanced EFA that everyone could use. So this vitamin has flax, it has fish, it has evening primrose oil, and it has borage. So that is the 4-in-1 multi-source. Typically, you're taking 3 capsules per day, which represents 2.4 grams. 2.4 grams of essential fats per day in a even spectrum of 3, 6, and 9. Pretty much everybody should be on to reduce inflammation. For women, it has the added benefit of dealing in a positive way with estrogens. So again, the evening primrose oil that is in there is a phytoestrogen. So that should be definitely looked at by a physician if they're dealing with an estrogen-based cancer. But ultimately, it is only 1/4 of what's in this vitamin. And you also have a lot of the essential fats from linolenic acid, which is going to be helpful for a lot of different things, but mainly in reducing inflammation and improving digestion. So I use this vitamin when people have extremely dry skin, when they have autoimmune conditions such as scarring alopecia, and also if they have some digestive issues that are in the form of constipation or acid reflux. So those really, when you're keying in on digestive issues and inflammation, the essential fatty acid is very, very helpful.
William, I have another question, and I think I know the answer, but I don't want to assume.
Sure.
With the DHT blocker 4 times daily, the EFA 3 daily, and the follow-up 3 daily, is there any formula that you can take 1 daily, or is it a time release?
Well, these vitamins are large, and I understand the concern because a lot of people don't want to take 10 vitamins per day or 10 capsules per day. But as I tell a lot of people, it's very rare that you get a 1 tablet vitamin that actually does anything, because you're trying to change your body's chemistry and you need to use something that is going to be powerful but safe. So I don't have anything in our product line that is a one size kind of fits all for everybody. And again, that's kind of why there are so many total capsules in this, because if you're using all of the vitamins, it's going to take up all of the things that you would normally need in a healthful diet every day. So you really don't need any additional vitamin unless you have a very specific mineral that you're keying in on, because it's got...
Okay, that makes sense.
Definitely. Well, the follow growth vitamin is an excellent multivitamin. It is clearly geared toward your hair, but it also has other things that are going to be anti-inflammatory. It also has a large amount of vitamin D. So the average vitamin D per vitamin for your typical multivitamins is usually around 200 IUs. In this case, we actually have 800 IUs, or almost 1,000 IUs in the follow growth on a daily basis, because most people are vitamin D deficient. We also have a tremendous amount of Bs, obviously specifically for your hair. There's 5,000 micrograms of biotin, which is pretty much the maximum you can absorb. And there's vitamin C, there's also vitamin K. And then there's liver support in the form of FOT, alpha-lipoic acid. And there's one very unique attribute to this product that no other hair, skin, and nails vitamin is utilizing, which is maritime pine bark extract. The reason that I added that to this vitamin is I had a gentleman who was dealing with a Demodex infestation and all sorts of inflammation on the surface of his scalp, and he also had rosacea. And he went into a naturopath, and the naturopath recommended that he go on a product called pycnogenol. Now, pycnogenol is very expensive, so you're looking at about $20 for a month's supply or $30 for a month's supply just for that one herb per day. He went on that vitamin while he was under my care and came back about a month later, and I hadn't put him on any vitamins yet. And I asked him what was he doing differently, because his scalp and the inflammation on the surface of his scalp had decreased dramatically, and the Demodex infestation was basically gone. Now granted, he was also using our topical applications that are also good at decreasing Demodex, but not normally to this magnitude. And he said, I'm on pycnogenol. And I started experimenting with that in the clinic. Make a long story short, 50 milligrams of pycnogenol seemed to be the magic dose that really allowed people universally to decrease inflammation on their skin and scalp. And if you do a little research on pycnogenol, you'll find that it's also great for anti-aging. And there's other things in this vitamin that are anti-aging, like hyaluronic acid. But specifically, we're the only vitamin that uses that, and it works incredibly well. And we do have that 50 milligrams in every daily dose of the follow growth. So if you're using...
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Not everyone on the call is familiar with Demodex. If you could give a brief description.
Oh, certainly. Okay. So Demodex is a small parasite that lives on our skin normally. And normally it is not harmful. It simply consumes dead skin cells, excessive oil. It's like anything else that's microscopic and simply lives in harmony with your body in our universal ecosystem. However, if you become immunocompromised in the form of nutritionally deficient, which could be anemic, could be a vitamin D deficiency, you could have gone through a surgery, been in the hospital, been on some type of medication that decreased your white count, which pretty much is all of them. Any of that for an extended period of time can open the door for Demodex to not just live on the surface of the scalp harmlessly, but it will crawl inside the hair follicle and take up residence inside the sebaceous gland by laying eggs and consuming the oil inside the sebaceous gland, as well as consuming the epithelial cells around the perimeter of the papilla. And that, unfortunately, creates a tremendous amount of inflammation and will cause a tremendous amount of shedding excessively. So I did a presentation in San Antonio back in 2014 on this topic, which you can actually see on YouTube. But it goes into great detail about how we get rid of it, because the Demodex typically will not go away on its own. Once it's taken up residence inside the hair follicle, it is living 4 millimeters underneath the scalp. And so it is virtually impermeable from anything that you're doing unless you're specifically using anti-Demodex items on the surface of your scalp. One of the reasons that the maritime pine bark extract works so well is it has a positive influence on the immune state, specifically for the skin, and that is why it helps decrease the inflammation caused by the Demodex. It will not make it go away on its own. you do need to use topical applications, which actually our PM and PMB formulas contain sea buckthorn oil and neem oil, which both have shown to be very, very powerful in reducing Demodex topically. So that would be a really good adjunct to the follow growth vitamin when someone has Demodex. Any other questions regarding that? Okay, so there are two other items that are not listed on here, which are not always used. These are more of our go-to items. I mean, quite frankly, I use DHT blocker most frequently, and then second is the follow growth vitamin, and then third the EFA. In some cases where somebody wants to do everything, which is the best practice, then they're on all three nutritional supplements, which is all-encompassing and basically for general life an excellent protocol. The item that I mentioned moments ago regarding the phytoestrogens is the Revive Hormone Balancing Cream. This basically is a very specific DHT blocker for women over the age of 35. And this uses transdermally a host of phytoestrogen herbs like black cohosh, saw palmetto, red clover, evening primrose oil. And I've also added things such as topical biotin and topical vitamin D3, and that is also balanced out with a small amount of progesterone. And the purpose is to transdermally, in synchronization with a female menstrual cycle, basically naturally boost estrogen, or basically not actual chemical estrogen, but phytoestrogens in the body, which will coat the hair follicle receptor and reduce the uptake more efficiently than any other nutritional supplement of DHT into the receptor site. It also has the happy benefit of women who are going through peri and post menopause. They are obviously, their progesterone and estrogen are through the floor or fluctuating. It will have a balancing impact on the estrogen, so that will reduce symptoms of hot flashes, mood swings, things of that nature. I don't typically advertise that, but when you have somebody going through peri and post menopause, this is the perfect item to use because it's going to have some additional benefits as well. But basically what happens with this is this would replace a DHT blocker supplement for female dealing with pattern hair loss over the age of 35. Additionally, if someone has some type of onset of cicatricial alopecia, like frontal fibrosing alopecia, or even like an alopecia areata that is triggered by menopause, then you can use this nutritional supplement as well. Now, again, this is a nutritional supplement in cream form, so it is designed to pass through your skin in a thin-skinned area of your body, like the inside of your wrist or the inside of your neck, and you will use one pump of hormone balancing cream, or the Revive Hormone Balancing Cream, and put that glob of cream, again, on a thin-skinned area of your body, like the inside of your wrist, and then you will rub your wrists together. And that is allowing that cream to penetrate through the skin and to get directly into the bloodstream, bypassing the digestive tract, making it far more powerful, approximately 20 times more powerful than taking a nutritional supplement. So with this, that is one of the reasons why it works so well for female pattern loss. And I've had a lot of people actually have some other benefits, like decreasing some belly fat because their hormones were off. It's also excellent for PCOS because in PCOS, if you're over the age of 35, your testosterone in many cases is elevated and your estrogen in some cases is decreased, so that balances it out. So
I had a question, William. Does it interfere with anybody's libido? Does it help with it? Because I know a couple of women who are taking hormones. Does it help with the libido?
That is a great question. It can. The libido for women is in many cases influenced by testosterone. So a lot of times when women are on hormone replacement, they are on a small amount of testosterone along with progesterone and estrogen. So if they are not on testosterone or they're not on any hormone replacement, it will probably help with libido because it will balance out some of the hormones. But the objective is typically not to increase testosterone due to the influence of increasing testosterone will lead to increased DHT, which then will increase hair loss. So it could, but it's probably not a common side effect.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of hormone replacement do you see your clients on typically?
The DIM, D-I-M.
Oh, well, that's not hormone replacement. That's just best practices for estrogen metabolism.
Right.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why. Are they seeing the positive benefit of DIM with their libido?
With that, yeah. So I just was wondering if this is kind of the same thing. So I guess you clarified it.
Yeah, it's not. And actually, the two would go hand in hand. DIM is excellent, especially for women who have any type of estrogen concerns, because obviously it helps metabolize the estrogen more efficiently in the liver with the cruciferous vegetable compounds. And realistically, any woman dealing with female pattern loss should probably be on DIM as well. So that's excellent.
Oh, gotcha. So they won't have to supplement, you're saying, so they can use the DIM and the Revive.
Absolutely, and that will give them tremendous protection because they get the benefits of both, and they will probably have an even better result by using DIM with the Revive.
Perfect. Okay.
And that's where there's two types of protocols that we use when using the Revive, because when you're menstruating, and you have not gone through menopause, then the natural ebbs and flows of hormones that occur on a monthly basis need to be considered when using the Revive, because there is a very small amount of progesterone in there, and if you use it every day, it could change the menstrual cycle because obviously the progesterone and estrogen spike in synchronization with the time of the month when they would normally be menstruating. So there are two, and you'll see this down at the bottom of the screen, there are two protocols, one for menstruating women, one for non-menstruating women. This is actually on the back of the bottle as well. For menstruating women, typically you are going to use it on the 12th day following the first day of their menstrual cycle. So if today is obviously day 1, then they would begin in 12 days. They would use it for 2 weeks, morning and night, then stop, and then they would repeat again when their menstrual cycle begins again. So they're using it in the cycle of their natural hormonal spikes, which is beneficial on multitude of levels, but specifically for just maintaining the natural balance. For non-menstruating women, and this includes women who have had a uterine hysterectomy and still have ovaries. So I found that for whatever reason, even though there is still estrogen and progesterone being produced, that the fact that they don't have a uterus and are not actually having a menstrual cycle seems to have an influence. So in all of those cases of non-menstruating women, you want to use it for 25 days in a row and then take a 5-day break every month. So I usually recommend women to start on the first day of the month and then follow through all the way to the 25th day, stop, and repeat on a monthly basis. In 2009, when I introduced this product, because I was finding that women were not getting the results that men were getting in my initial program, the female results doubled after I ended up introducing this product. And it is not only more cost effective for the client because it is less expensive than the DHT blocker, but it is also far, far more powerful. So that is an excellent go-to for women 35 years or older, and obviously peri and postmenopausal as well. Any additional questions on the Revive? All right. So vitamin D is another product that we actually have and recommend for a lot of individuals who are dealing with hair loss. To me, it's probably one of the most overlooked things that most people are probably dealing with in some capacity. As a blood level range, you will mostly find at when you get a physician's test for vitamin D, that the range is between 30 nanograms per milliliter and 100 nanograms per milliliter in your blood. So when you get a blood test and there's that range between 30 and 100, that's what that means, is that's obviously how much vitamin D is floating around in your blood. Physicians are only concerned usually when vitamin D is below 30. And to me, that subclinical vitamin D, not only is it dangerous because vitamin D is helpful for a lot of different things, including cancer prevention, but keeping your vitamin D levels in an optimal range, not just a normal range, will protect your hair. So I never rely upon the physician's normal. I want to see someone's vitamin D blood test if possible. And if I suspect that they're vitamin D deficient, then I will typically send them to go get a blood test. And when we get that blood test back, I want objectively that their vitamin D be actually between 60 and 80, not 30 and 100. And this product, which is a liquid vitamin D3, is more affordable for your clients than the vast majority of the vitamin D that they'll find at Walgreens or any other place, because it's a 6-month supply of liquid vitamin D, and that is solubilized in fat in the form of fractionated coconut oil, and it is sublingual. So you will drop 5 drops of this vitamin D product underneath the tongue, and that is the equivalent of 5,000 units, which is 10 times, actually it's 20 times the normal recommended dose, and is actually, for the average individual, a good maintenance dose of vitamin D. And if you have somebody you suspect of low D, in many cases, they're going to have diffuse thinning throughout their entire scalp, not just in one particular location. They may have symptoms of low energy. They may have additional symptoms of other types of things like skin eruptions, psoriasis, and alopecia areata and seborrheic dermatitis, as well as scarring alopecias, are far more prone to people who have low vitamin D. I have treated psoriasis with vitamin D alone in multitude of cases, which completely eliminated their psoriasis issue with simply getting their vitamin D levels up to optimal. So there was a study done a while back. I don't have it, unfortunately, for reference, but people with alopecia areata, 70% of the people tested had subclinical or less than normal vitamin D. So it is a very, very consistent item that needs to be corrected. So if in doubt, if you think, hey, maybe this person has got low vitamin D, you can put them on maybe 3 drops a day. Do not exceed 5,000 units unless you've got a blood test that is showing low vitamin D, and they should be retested every 6 months if they're on anything more than 5,000 units, because you can actually get a vitamin D toxicity, and if you do, that will also lead to hair loss. So you need to make sure that it's managed correctly. But the average individual who has lighter skin, if they're not out in the sun for 15 to 30 minutes full body sun exposure without sunscreen per day, then they are probably vitamin D deficient. The darker your skin, the more probable the vitamin D deficiency. The melanin in your skin will actually track the UV light, which will then in turn decrease the amount of UV that is turned into vitamin D in your skin. So people with darker skin are often more prone to a vitamin D deficiency. So that is something that typically anybody who comes in who doesn't have any good sun exposure and have darker skin, I pretty much automatically assume that they're vitamin D deficient. So that is another product that we carry. It needs to be used, obviously, with a educated application. You don't just hand it out to everybody, but $25, that is the retail of that item, and that is a product that is used consistently for a lot of people who've got low D. I actually take it every day no matter what, but most people should be outside more often than they are, but this compensates for that. Any questions on vitamin D? Okay, so that is our nutritional supplement line. After that, we basically get into scalp serums. And again, there are 5 steps to this program, and as trichologists and as individuals who are going to be basically managing your clients' not only health, but their hair, obviously you need to use the right things in the right scenarios. Our topical scalp serums do contain 5% minoxidil because minoxidil, really there's no substitute for it. It is the only FDA-approved item for women for a reason, because it really does work very well on actually thickening the individual hair follicles, as well as it is the only thing to date that we know actually helps rebuild capillaries to the hair follicle, which is also very important. However, as you might know, most minoxidil will typically only get some type of peach fuzz to grow, and that is why our formulas not only contain minoxidil, but also have a tremendous amount of other ingredients. They don't have propylene glycol, and there's 2 formulas that we rotate nightly to decrease tolerance, because typically the average Rogaine user will have a decrease in effectiveness after 2 years because eventually your body builds a tolerance to it. So our formulas, again, being quite unique, there are 2 formulas that are alternated nightly. The PM and PMB scalp serums. They're used only once daily, and they are rotated. So, for example, you could begin using the PM formula tonight, and that contains 5% minoxidil, retinoic acid, aloe, licorice, caffeinated green tea extract, panthenol. Also has grapefruit seed extract, which is going to decrease fungus and dandruff and even seborrheic dermatitis topically, as well as sea buckthorn oil, which is anti-parasitic. So you'd apply typically on average between 1 and 2 milliliters of that per night, usually about 2 hours before your head hits the pillow, and you will wash it out the next day. The following night, you will use the PMB formula. This not only has 5% minoxidil, but it also has azelaic acid, which is a natural DHT suppressant. It has licorice and aloe and green tea extract, but additionally it has tea tree oil, which is very antiseptic, antibacterial, anti-yeast, and neem oil, which is anti-parasitic. So these items are again alternated each night so that you are basically keeping your scalp constantly guessing, and it increases the efficiency of the product long term. In many cases, you have clients that don't want to wash their hair every day, because if you're using these products alternating nightly, you need to wash them out in the morning. For those people who do not want to wash their hair every day, the PM formula is pretty much the go-to product. That formula is a thinner viscosity. It does not leave a residue like the PMB formula does. It does not have a smell like the PMB formula does, and basically can be used every night without washing your hair, but once or twice a week. It is best practice, obviously, to wash your hair a little bit more frequently, but if you've got individuals who are simply not going to wash their hair due to styling or personal items that they're dealing with, then you are going to simply use the PM formula at least every other night, but preferably daily, using the same protocol. And obviously with this, it is going to help stimulate growth of the individual follicles itself. It will decrease yeast, fungus, and bacteria and parasites, and it will decrease DHT topically as well as reduce inflammation. So it has 6 times the active ingredients of Rogaine. So Rogaine is a 5% active ingredient product. Our product is a 30% active ingredient product. So again, our base is as natural as possible. We use isopropyl alcohol and vegetable glycerin, and not propylene glycol, which decreases inflammation as well. So a lot of people who have had trouble with minoxidil in the past will not have reactions like skin irritation with the use of our topical formulas. Any questions thus far on these?
So the PMB, with the PMB, that has to be washed out, you're saying?
Yes, it really should. The amount of tea tree oil and the amount of neem oil leaves a residue, and that oil will break down after it's made contact with the skin, and if it breaks down to the point where it's lost its medicinal properties over a couple days, it will become food for things like yeast and Demodex.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so the PM formula, a lot of people just choose to use that simply because it's easier, and again, some people really complain of the tea tree oil smell in the PMB. However, you know, the benefits of the PMB in many cases outweigh the negatives, so it's best practice to use both, but if you have to use just one, it's definitely way better than using Rogaine by itself.
Got it.
Also, these formulas, or one of these formulas, should pretty much always be used when you're trying to regrow hair and using low-level laser therapy. Minoxidil, coupled with other items, improve the results of low-level laser therapy typically by about 2 times. And that's because of, again, the capillary building benefits of minoxidil, and in this case, decreasing fungus and bacteria, which sometimes flares up with use of low-level laser therapy. So if you're using laser, you should pretty much always be using these formulas as well. So next phase is effective hair care products. Realistically,
I'm sorry, I have one more question about the PM and PMB.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So will we be, can you do, no, it's only strictly at night, so you won't be using the PM before doing laser therapy?
Typically, no. I don't like to have anything on someone's scalp when they're doing laser nowadays because I don't want the reflection off the surface of the scalp with any type of oily residue. So there's only a handful of things that will actually prevent the absorption of laser. Anything that's reflecting the light off the scalp is one of those things. So I prefer them to just basically have a clean scalp when lasering.
Okay.
It's best practice after laser, though, even immediately. They can, as soon as they get done with their laser treatment, apply the product. And typically you're going to increase the absorption of products because there's more blood flow to the surface of the scalp immediately following a laser treatment, so you'll actually get better absorption after a laser treatment as well.
Okay.
Excellent. So moving on to hair care products, we have a 3-part system. I tell, and I still do a tremendous amount of consults, I tell my clients, especially when they're new to hair growth or trying to stop hair loss, that hair care products usually are the least important of the items that you're using because they're only on your scalp for a short period of time. The only exception to that rule is when someone has a fungus Demodex infestation or has an itchy burning scalp that requires cleansing on a daily basis. If you have those people that their scalps are just fine, not washing their hair, but weekly or every 3 days, then hair care products should be used, obviously, when they're shampooing, but they're probably less important than the other items. So in our scenario, we actually have a shampoo, conditioner, and follicle stimulating spray. These items are, for best practice, going to be used daily, but again, they can be used in different protocols. The different products have different purposes, and obviously the initial shampooing is specifically to help reduce DHT, reduce buildup on the surface of the scalp. It does also have antibacterial qualities, including grapefruit seed extract and the tea tree oil, and it has the saw palmetto and some other basically anti-inflammatories that are going to help detoxify the scalp. But when you're applying this product directly to your scalp, you're going to want to vigorously massage the shampoo into the surface of the scalp, covering the entire scalp and letting it sit typically for about 2 minutes prior to rinsing. And that action of massaging, obviously, the shampoo into the scalp has its own cleansing mechanism as well. So you're not only manually cleansing, you're topically cleansing with the product, but it is specifically for reducing bacteria as well as reducing DHT topically. The second step usually is the treatment conditioner. Our treatment conditioner is a very lightweight but moderately moisturizing conditioner. So it is virtually 70% organic and has really no chemical load at all. And when you're using this product, you will also massage the conditioner into the scalp, and you will let that sit for typically 2 minutes prior to rinsing it out. Or in many cases, people who want more hydration, they can actually leave the product in without rinsing, and there's no harmful residue left behind because of the herbs and the formula that is in there. And so with that, kind of just leave it up to the client how they want to use that, but it's also going to protect against Demodex because the absence of an oily residue on the surface of the scalp is beneficial in reducing any type of Demodex or fungus as well. So after the shampoo and the conditioner, typically when you get out of the shower, you have an opportunity to provide vitamins directly to the scalp. Our PM formula is only used at night, so when you're shampooing in the morning, you've got a fresh scalp. Our follicle stimulating spray is designed to be used when you get out of the shower and your hair is towel dry. You can lay down about 14 sprays of the follicle stimulating spray, which has green tea, saw palmetto, hyaluronic acid, alpha-lipoic acid, biotin, vitamin K, and these are going to be delivered directly to the scalp and basically massaged in. They will leave no residue whatsoever. So once the absorption has taken place, if there is a minor residue, it's unnoticeable on the scalp, and the individual can basically style their hair as they choose. And again, lay down about 14 sprays, kind of massage it through the scalp, and simply style as usual, and that will give them additional vitamin protection directly to the hair follicles every day topically. So that is an excellent product, especially for those people, again, who have unusual scalp conditions, cicatricial alopecia, even alopecia areata, but obviously if you're seeing male and female pattern loss, it is also beneficial for those clients as well. Questions regarding the hair care products? Excellent. Moving on to the final step, you guys, because you're experiencing it in the industry, may already have lasers. And that's fine. However you choose to use those, if you're getting results, I'm happy that you're getting results, and all of the products that we've mentioned previously can be used with whatever laser device you're using in your clinic. We have an at-home laser device, which is called the LC Elite laser, that has 80 diodes. It is the only static beam at-home laser on the market. Basically, static beam means it is not pulsing. I have actually run an IRB for the FDA regarding very specific laser devices. We had a pulsed unit when we were first starting out. The pulsed unit did not get as good of a result as the static beam or the non-pulsed unit. Since then, which was in 2007, I have never gone back to using pulsing devices regularly if we were able to avoid it. And in this case, this is the only non-pulsing unit available for at-home use. It is also the only unit that can be used for both dark and light hair protocols. And if you've heard me speak on laser, which I have a laser dissertation, which is also on YouTube, it talks about using different protocols for different hair types. And this is actually listed on our instruction sheet that we give out with each device. Now, as Advanced Trichology retailers, you are able to provide this laser to your clients, either in a clinical form or actually selling the device to the client for home use. So that is all in our literature. But this device, again, is going to be used based upon whatever hair type they have. Individuals with darker hair or darker skin, they're going to use a light-haired protocol, which is on the left there, and it gives you some examples of darker hair and coarser hair. And typically you'll see this increasing protocol over time. Like when we get down to the left-hand side over here, we've got month 1, month 2, month 3, and 4, 5, and 6, all the way through to thereafter. You would start out for the first month 5 minutes twice weekly, and then you'd increase over time to an alternating between 5 and 10 minutes, and then eventually 10 minutes twice weekly. And the reason we alternate, again, is change stimulates change. So the more you're alternating, the more you're decreasing the body, building a tolerance, the more effective the outcome is going to be. So you, again, on the left-hand side, you've got a dark-haired protocol. On the right-hand side, you have a light-haired protocol, which basically at the end of the day doubles the amount of energy that someone will be using long-term. And there's a couple key reasons why you'd use one or the other. So basically, for a dark-haired protocol, if someone has darker skin or darker, coarser hair, less than 5 years worth of hair loss, or less than 50% dormancy, they're typically a better candidate for less energy. If you have fine hair or a white skin, or have more than 5 years worth of loss or more than 50% dormancy, you typically require more energy. Because again, the more melanin you have in the skin, the more energy or the more light you need, or the less light you need to stimulate a response, and the opposite is true if you have less melanin. This product also has a 6-month guarantee that we offer to our clients, as well as you could offer to your clients, and it has a 3-year warranty from the date of purchase. So it is a very unique device, but ultimately this is needed if you aren't already retailing an at-home device, or you don't already have a clinical unit. Some people choose to use this in place of their clinical unit. Does anybody have any questions on laser? Perfect. So moving on, universally, I like to show off results because it gives you kind of a clear understanding of what is attainable. And this is actually some of the results that are listed in the ebook that I recommend that all of you, I can either email it to you or it can be downloaded, but I have an ebook describing our full process. But it shows men's results, and I try to give you the average result. So on the left-hand side, you see from good to fair, but it's based upon the real results that people are getting from utilizing the full procedure. On the right-hand side, you can see varying results from women, obviously in the temples, through the vertex, and just typical female pattern loss, and it shows very basic results. But the bottom line is to get results and not allow any of that opportunity to slip away by not providing the correct product for the correct situation. The ebook that, again, I can email to you has my full philosophy in there, and basically talks about identifying the individual's symptoms, whether that be androgenetic alopecia, telogen effluvium, male loss versus female loss, and gets into the full trifecta of hair loss treatment based upon the products and equipment that we use. And it's a really good dissertation on telogen effluvium, as well as your standard androgenetic alopecia, which you can simply download and even provide to your clients if you choose to. After all of that, for our retailers, we try to make it a little bit easier for individuals to inquire about hair loss treatment, especially if you're in a salon setting. Sometimes people don't want to talk about it. So we've got some pretty solid point of sale materials that we have now, and we'll be coming out with more and more as time goes on. But we have a full-scale pop-up banner that is helpful that you can put in your lobby, which is actually about 7 feet tall, with all the before and after pictures on it, including describing the core steps of the program, and then even our catalogs and brochures and things of that nature, as well as counter displays. So for those people who end up retailing our product, we can support that with point-of-sale materials. Obviously, getting over some of those education points in some cases is the first step, but at least allowing you to know that that is available to you.